Known as Operation Stop Scam Calls, the Federal Trade Commission announced it would be teaming up with more than 100 law enforcement agencies to stop these unwanted robocalls. Our Patrick Nelson joining us with an update on that effort and the challenges ahead to stop these annoying and sometimes dangerous calls, Patrick.
There is some progress being made, Bree. Just last week, a historic $300 million fine was handed down by federal investigators to a company accused of making auto warranty robocalls. Investigators say improvements in call tracing are helping to identify these calls and block them. Robocall experts say it's progress, but they fear AI technology could make remaining robocalls and texts more dangerous for consumers and harder to identify.
I probably get spam calls at least once or twice a day usually. Every once in a while I'll get one that it won't tell me, and halfway through I'll just usually hang up on it.
In Colorado Springs, Dominic Alarcone says unwanted robocalls and the threat of spam text messages are things he's constantly on guard for.
It's kind of frustrating how much our information kind of goes out there to all these random people that can just set up the software to make these calls, and the fact that it's not even people anymore, it's just software.
While the headaches of unwanted calls and texts are still part of our daily lives, I spoke with Julia Porter, the vice president of RoboKiller, an app that identifies and blocks these unwanted contacts. She says the multi-agency crackdown on robocalls is leading to a projected 20% decrease this year nationwide and an even greater impact in our state.
Colorado residents are very much feeling that. They're on track actually to see a greater decrease year over year for spam calls at about 30% year over year.
The experts on the front line say there are still questions about how to help consumers identify and block spam texts. And we're still learning how AI technology could make placing even more well-disguised calls and texts possible.
Based on what we know with auto dialing technology and how AI could be used to just place more calls or texts faster is something that could potentially be an impact in the future, and we're watching trends to see if that might be unfolding.
Here at home, Dominic says that's a development he'll be tracking closely as he continues to fight off those annoying calls that light up his phone just about every day.
Definitely the whole AI thing is really interesting. A lot of practical uses, but there's also a lot of scary abuses you can see coming out of that.
And Bree, as we've learned in some of our recent stories, that AI technology in the wrong hands certainly can cause some problems, but companies like RoboKiller say they're actually going to see if they can use that same AI technology for good to try to identify some of these calls and texts so they can block them.
Okay, that makes more sense because AI scares me a little bit. But Patrick, most of us have had these calls, these text messages. What can we do with investigators to help them out with all this?
Well, now that we know they're dedicating the resources to actually fight this, reporting these robocalls and spam text messages more important than ever before. I've actually posted a link on our website. You can find it right now, KOAA.com. You can report these things. It'll help investigators to focus their efforts.
All right. Thank you, Patrick.